On a day when the world expected soft memories and gentle words, Kristina Wagner chose something far braver. She chose honesty. There were no polished phrases, no carefully measured sentences shaped by publicists or wrapped in inspirational clichés. Instead, there was a mother speaking from the deepest place of her heart, a place where time has not healed, where love still aches, and where silence has finally become heavier than the truth. Kristina Wagner, beloved by millions as Felicia Scorpio on General Hospital, marked a deeply personal moment by remembering her late son, Harrison, and by saying something that stopped fans in their tracks.
Grief is not something I can face alone.
Those words, simple and devastating, carried the weight of a lifetime. They were not spoken for sympathy. They were spoken for survival. And in that moment, she was no longer a soap icon, no longer a familiar face from decades of television history. She was simply a mother who had lost her child, and was still learning how to breathe in a world that no longer made sense. For parents, time is divided into two parts, before and after.
Before the loss.
After the loss. Kristina Wagner has lived in that after for years now, ever since the unimaginable happened. Her son, Harrison, passed away suddenly in 2022, a loss so profound that no language can truly contain it. The kind of loss that shatters the structure of reality itself. The kind that turns ordinary days into emotional minefields and quiet moments into echoes of what should have been.
To the public, she was strong. She continued working. She smiled on red carpets.
She returned to General Hospital, bringing warmth and energy to Felicia as if her own heart were not in pieces. But grief does not disappear just because the world expects you to keep going.
It waits. It lingers. It surfaces when the noise fades.
And on this particular day of remembrance, Kristina Wagner allowed herself to stop pretending that she could carry it alone.
Her words were not dramatic.
They were not theatrical.
They were not wrapped in poetry.
That is precisely why they cut so deeply. I can't do this by myself. In a culture that worships strength, that celebrates moving on, that praises those who stay positive and keep pushing, her admission felt almost radical. It challenged the unspoken rule that pain must be private, that suffering must be tidy, that tears should be hidden once enough time has passed.
But what is enough time when a mother loses her child?
There's no expiration date on that kind of love. There is no finish line for that kind of grief. And there is certainly no moment when it becomes easy. By admitting she cannot face it alone, Kristina did something extraordinary. She gave permission to others to say the same. Grief is often described as heavy, but its true cruelty lies in its isolation. When someone you love dies, the world doesn't stop.
Cars still pass. People still laugh. Television shows still air. Bills still arrive.
Life, in all its indifference, marches on. But inside, everything has changed.
The person you were before is gone. The future you imagined no longer exists.
And yet, everyone around you seems to expect you to adapt, to adjust, to eventually become a version of yourself that fits back into the rhythm of normal life. That is the loneliness Kristina Wagner spoke of, not the absence of people, but the absence of understanding. The sense that no matter how many are around you, you are walking a road no one else can fully see. Her honesty shattered the illusion that public figures are somehow insulated from this isolation. Fame does not soften grief.
Recognition does not replace a child.
Applause does not quiet the nights when memories come uninvited.
In fact, sometimes it makes the loneliness sharper.
Because when the world sees you as strong, it forgets to ask if you are okay. What made Kristina's message so powerful was not just what she said, but when and how she said it. She did not wait for a tragedy anniversary to issue a formal statement. She did not frame her pain as a lesson or a motivational quote. She did not try to inspire.
She simply told the truth. She said she was hurting. She said she was lonely. She said she needed others.
In doing so, she dismantled one of the most dangerous myths about grief, that healing means independence. True healing, as she revealed, often means the opposite. It means allowing yourself to be held up when you can no longer stand. It means admitting that strength is not the absence of tears, but the courage to let them fall in front of others. For fans who have followed her for decades, who have watched Felicia survive kidnappings, betrayals, and near-death experiences, this was a different kind of bravery.
This was not scripted. This was not written by a team of writers. This was not resolved in a single episode. This was real life.
And real life does not wrap up in 42 minutes with a hopeful theme playing in the background. The response to Kristina Wagner's words was immediate and overwhelming. Messages of love flooded in. Not just from General Hospital fans, but from parents, siblings, partners, and friends who had walked the same dark road.
They saw themselves in her.
They recognized the quiet truth she spoke aloud. Because so many people carry grief in silence, afraid that their pain will make others uncomfortable, afraid that they will be told to be strong, afraid that their tears will be met with awkwardness instead of understanding.
By refusing to sanitize her loss, Kristina opened a door.
She reminded the world that grief is not a phase.
It is not a problem to be solved.
It is a lifelong companion that changes shape but never fully leaves. And she reminded those who are suffering that needing help is not a weakness, it is a human necessity. One of the most heartbreaking truths about losing a child is that the love does not fade with their absence. If anything, it grows heavier, because it has nowhere to go. Every birthday that will never be celebrated. Every milestone that will never be reached. Every future conversation that will never happen.
A mother carries all of it.
Kristina Wagner's remembrance was not only about pain, it was about love that refuses to disappear. Love that still speaks. Love that still longs. Love that still hopes for connection, even across the unbridgeable divide between life and death. Her vulnerability was, in its own way, an act of devotion. A way of saying, you are still here with me.
You still matter.
I still need support because I still love you. Perhaps the most profound thing she revealed, without even saying it directly, was this: survival is not the same as healing.
You can get up in the morning. You can go to work.
You can smile at strangers.
You can function. And still be broken. Still be lonely.
Still be struggling to understand how the world can continue when your child is gone. By admitting she cannot face grief alone, Kristina acknowledged that surviving is not enough. That real healing, if it ever comes, must be shared.
It must be supported.
It must be held in community, in compassion, in the simple presence of others who are willing to sit in the pain without trying to fix it. In the end, what Kristina Wagner gave the world was not a performance, not a headline, not a dramatic revelation designed to shock.
She gave us truth.
And truth, when it comes from a place of raw loss, has a way of lingering. Her words will stay with grieving parents who feel unseen. They will stay with those who have lost partners, siblings, friends. They will stay with anyone who has ever whispered, "I can't do this alone," but felt ashamed to say it out loud. She showed us that even those we admire, those we think of as strong, those who have spent their lives playing heroes on screen, are still human when the cameras stop rolling.
They still break. They still ache. They still need others.
And sometimes, the bravest thing they can do is say so. On a day meant for quiet reflection, Kristina Wagner chose something louder than silence. She chose honesty. She chose vulnerability.
She chose connection.
And in doing so, she reminded us all that grief may be a solitary journey, but no one should have to walk it alone.